Welcome to r/MaliciousCompliance, where people conform to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. Hit the like and subscribe, and let's begin. We have 3 great stories for you today. The first story.
Don't bother you with admin work? Okay. Not something I did, but something I saw firsthand, over 2 days. I hope this story fits here. Years ago, I worked as a registered nurse on a high dependency ward. Whereas, on a normal surgical ward for a morning shift, you would get 6 to 8 patients. On our ward, you got a maximum of 3. Think involved patients with multiple conditions. It was not unusual, as an example, a physiotherapist, 2 nurses, and a wards person, or 2, to help walk a patient using a rollator to the bathroom in the morning for their shower. Not because they were heavy, just because of all the pumps and drains that had to come along for the ride, and for their safety. We had a pretty high turnover for staff, about 50% per annum, with the average time someone stayed with us being 12 months. Some left after a year because they could get easier and better paying jobs elsewhere. Some left because of the workload. I left after 3 because I moved 200 kilometers away. But 2 people were constant on our ward. One was one of our ward's persons, not the object of this story, and the other was our ward clerk, Sue. I'll use her real name, as I'm pretty sure that was her name. It has been more than 2 decades, and it's a fairly common name. Sue had been there for years, and she was really, really good at her job. She knew how the place ticked. One morning shift, Sue got absolutely unbraided by one of the new RNs on our ward. I can't remember her name. It doesn't matter. So let's call her RN Myopia. Whatever it was about, it wasn't actually important, and I was there. I was well past my 12 months there, so I was an oldie. The organizational culture on that ward was that we were a team. Remember the story above about taking a patient to the shower, often needing 4 or more people to help? It was not unusual to come back after one of those shower trips to find that your other patients, other nurses had done your dressings for you, made a bed or 2, showered one of your patients, given out meds, whatever. You didn't have to ask. It just happened. You did the same for the next person when they were tied up. That's just how the place was. Best ward ever. That team approach extended to the wardies and the admin team. They did their work so you could concentrate on yours. You looked after them and they looked after you. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the admin officer on a ward can wield power. You may not think it, but they can. Anyway, Sue got roasted over something that didn't matter, and RN Myopia finished off with words along the effect of, "You just concentrate on doing your admin job, and I'll do my job as a nurse." Mistake. Such a big mistake. Those of us who had been there for a while on that day took a mental note. Sue would not let this one slide. Next day, we had almost the same team on deck. Normal weekday morning, busy ward, in the middle of showers, dressing, meds, mobilizing, attending to activities of daily living, obs, making beds, tests, ward rounds, and everything else. A theater orderly shows up for one of RN Myopia's patients to take them to theater. But they aren't ready. The one person who could answer the phone didn't pass the message that the theater was coming down for the patient for surgery. We watched with amusement, side eyes, as RN Myopia dropped everything to try and prep the patient while the orderly waited. Quick shower with chlorhexidine soap, run through the pre-op checklist, the whole shebang. We made sure her other patients were looked after, but there wasn't any way we were going to get involved between her and Sue. Just as some 15 minutes or so of work was finished in 5 minutes, Sue comes around the corner before the wardie heads off with the patient and squares off with RN Myopia, beautifully timed, and says, "Oh, RN Myopia, theater have called for your patient. I was going to come and let you know earlier, but I got caught up with my admin work. I see they are still here, so I'll leave it to you." Didn't wait for an answer or reply, just spins on her heel and goes back to her desk and phone around the corner. It was beautiful. RN Myopia didn't last much longer, but Sue did, until the ward was closed a few years later. I still miss that ward and the people after 24 years.
The second story.
How to kill boredom in the workplace. During my time in the Navy, I absolutely hated getting posted ashore. The shore posting I got sent to was a workshop on the base that had too many people and not enough work. I got assigned to one of those subsections where, for the most part, we got left alone as long as the work was done, so that was cool. About 2 months in, at our after-lunch muster, the only way we could keep track of all of us was to have us muster several times a day to micromanage us. The 2IC for the SEG, a petty officer we will call T, says that too many people are either going to lunch too early or coming back too late. Your break times are listed. You must follow them to the letter. 2 days later, 10 o'clock comes around. Time for stand easy. The guys I work with usually just had our short breaks in our workshop, as we got left alone out there. 10:02, a new seaman to the unit comes in and says to me, "P.O.T. wants to see you." I gave him a thumbs up, had a mouthful of biscuit, and watched him walk away. I then reached for my next biscuit. My teammates asked if I was going to see the P.O. My reply, after stand easy, at 10:19, stand easy ended at 10:20. I walked into the office. The first thing I heard, "Where have you been?" I sent SMN newbie out to get you 20 minutes ago. My reply, "But you said on Monday we had to adhere to our break times." Everyone else in the office had that "oh no he didn't" look, and I could almost see the smoke coming out of POT's ear until we heard the chief laugh from within his office. Fast forward a few months, I had been moved to another subsection there. Again, 90% left alone and self-managed. The manager of the collection of workshops we belonged to, Lieutenant Commander, usually engineering, rotated out. The new boss was doing a quiet walk around to get the feel of the place. He saw the number of guys sitting around on their phones. Next morning, new directive from upstairs. Anyone on their phone during working hours will be disciplined. When the boss walked around the next week, he looked up into my little space. 3 of us sitting there reading books. Our chief comes down 10 minutes later. The boss wants you to be doing work, not reading books. The next time the boss came through, we are all in exactly the same positions. This time, we are reading service manual. When he asked, "Why aren't you working?" my reply was simple. "We have done everything there is for us to do today, sir. Now we are using the rest of our day to build our knowledge to do our jobs better. A.B. Smith here is refreshing his knowledge of refueling at sea. A.B. Martin is learning about the new paint scheme we are starting to use, and I am looking through the pay and conditions manual to find out if the workshop out in the back that I use to get work in gets hot enough to qualify for heat allowance to be paid." Needless to say, the boss stormed off muttering. The next day the chief informed us that as long as we had our work done and were being quiet and discreet, we could do whatever the hell we wanted. Gods, it was good to get back to sea and do some meaningful work.
The third story.
Malicious compliance at the convenience store? Don't throw away anything. Okay, you got it. This happened when I worked at a convenience store many, many moons ago. The original owner, the woman who hired me, basically let the shift managers run the shift. If they were out-of-date products, the shift managers were allowed to throw it away, without specific permission from the GM or the owner. The GM and the owner trusted the shift manager's judgment. About 6 years into my employment there, the original owner sold the business. The new owners kept on all the staff, but we were basically told that the owners were in charge and the employees were to do nothing without permission. Even the shift managers were not allowed to throw anything away without the owner's permission. The new owners were notorious for recycling. Old, outdated food, it was disgusting. If there were outdated sandwiches, they made the employees take the deli meat off the stale, soggy roll, put it on a fresh roll with fresh lettuce and tomato, and put it back out for sale. The same with outdated canned foods and such. They would make the employees cook the outdated canned food for the hot food bar. It didn't take too long for them to decide that I was throwing away too many products. Basically, because I absolutely refused to recycle the sandwiches, I was told that I was not to throw anything away without consulting one of the owners first. Enter malicious compliance. I got a box and put everything in it that I was going to throw away for the entire shift. If I swept the floor, I dumped the floor sweepings into the box. Customers didn't want their receipts in the box. Bank wrappers from the dollar bills in the box. Remnants from my dinner in the box. Every last paper towel I used to wipe down the counters. If I was chewing a piece of gum, yeah, you guessed it. Everything went in the box. I marked the box, "Do not throw this stuff away before the owner looks at it." After the first night of doing that, I was told not to do it again. I kept right on doing it. After about a week, the owner threw away my box, gave me a specific list of things I wasn't allowed to throw away, and told me to stop being a smart A if I intended to keep my job. I didn't work for them for long. They were selling illegal products that could have resulted in the staff getting arrested. Before I quit, I did get the chance to tell the owner that she needed to stop being a expletive toward everyone, and that she and her husband needed to quit being shady.
Bonus story.
No wife of mine will ever wear pants. This is an older story, but one of my favorites. When girls started wearing slacks, my great-grandmother told her husband, my great-grandfather, that she wanted to get some slacks. He blew up, insisting that no wife of his will ever wear pants. She could have argued, but she accepted his edict quietly, until they went bowling. She found the shortest skirt she could find. After all, he insisted she keep wearing skirts and dresses. This was in the 50s. That night, he agreed to let her go get some slacks. Side note, she would also sew shut the flaps on his long underwear when she was mad at him.
I hope you enjoyed these stories. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to know when the new videos come out.